I've been thinking a lot about the radical responsibility thing, taking responsibility for absolutely everything, and I'm doing it at the moment. And I've got some like metaphorical imagery to go along with what kinds of insights I'm having. I'm going to try to express it as best I can, but I'm like mid contemplation right now. There's lots of unfinished thoughts, but quite often that's the time when like valuable stuff emerges live and then I learn something. So I'm going to play with this. So I've been thinking of like all of the things that I've inherited from my family, or even from outside of my family, from other areas of life. Just these things that we've inherited that cost us something, whether it's time, energy, money, awareness. And I've stopped looking at it like anything isn't my problem, because if I don't deal with it, nobody does, basically, is one of my conclusions that I came to when I was contemplating how to proceed in a bunch of different matters. So I've inherited all of this stuff from my family that comes at a great cost, and up until relatively recently I've just ignored all of it because the word that came to my mind is entitlement. Like this sense of entitlement, like why should I have to deal with all of these problems that were created by my parents or like by my extended family, whatever it is, or like even deal with the effects of the problems that were created by them. Like I just was in this resistance to taking action towards anything that would make my life better if I was able to blame whatever it was on somebody else. And trust me, I'm really good at doing that. Like I feel, and this is like one of the unfinished thoughts that I'm having, like, but while I've been contemplating this, I feel that like I've inherited so much cost from my parents, like so much trauma, like so many effects of the neglect and seclusion and isolation and just bad parenting. I've inherited like a lack of identity because basically, like there was just mess around like my very early childhood from birth, like about like different men that were in my mum's life and stuff, and I've been bringing it up to her and I've been feeling this huge sense of guilt like every time I ask her a simple question, because I'm trying to investigate this stuff so that I can find out like my own personal history. And I've kind of, it's been like I'm wrestling with myself, like feeling so guilty for making my mum feel bad about decisions that she made, like, and I've been moving through that, and this feels heavy as this feels like unshareable territory. But yeah, I've decided like I'm gonna figure it out whether my parents are going to participate or not. Like I don't care, I'll get a private investigator. Like I've got enough information to get a list of names, then I can go do it the old fashioned way and knock on doors. Like, but that's like one of these examples of like, why do I have this huge cost just to find out like a piece of my identity or a piece of my personal history? And like, why have I had to spend over 10 grand on therapy to deal with the trauma that was created by my parents? Like, why have I had to do everything on my own? Like, and like, I don't know, I've just been having this mad like entitlement thing. That's what I'm going to call it, because I don't want to make excuses and shit, and I don't want to say like I'm doing it like I'm special or some shit. But I've been in rooms full of people that are like are parallel to me now in life, right? Like So I've worked really hard to get into these rooms and these positions, and like be able to play these games and these roles and get into these organizations. And I'm sitting parallel to somebody who was supported by their family. They're like 10 years younger than me. They're driving a way nicer car. They've got fucking diamond earrings, a Rolex watch. Like, you know, they're just like, I don't have all of that stuff. And the biggest struggle of this has been like, I'm a straight white male, like in my 30s. So like I'm the epitome of privilege, right? But beneath the assumptions and beliefs that people might have about me is this story of how I've inherited nothing but like costs from my parents and from society as well. Like society hasn't, like the systems that I've gone through, like to help myself and to figure out what to do with my life when I didn't have support. And I've been homeless, like all of that, like I just have constantly been dealt really shitty cards, and the cost has just been accumulating and accumulating. But the reason why I'm even talking about it is because of the realization that I had that the cost is going to continue to accumulate if I don't start paying off the debt. Like this debt, like is the picture that I have, like this debt of just things that haven't been taken care of throughout my life for whatever reason. And I can sit here and blame my parents or blame systems within society that were supposed to support me, to help me or whatever. But like I would rather look at myself. So yeah, like the longer that I don't deal with these issues, the bigger they grow. That's why I'm talking about it, because it's quite liberating to be at that point now. So now I'm at a point where I'm just going through the list, like everything that's outstanding, everything that's owing, and instead of like feeling like it's owed to me by somebody outside myself or owed to me by society or an organization or some system or anything, like I owe it to myself. So that's where I'm at. Like I'm going through the list. Like I said, I'll get a private investigator. I'll find out my own personal history. I'll find out who I am, my identity, like heaps of the issues that I've inherited, like stress and trauma. Like I'm already well deep into dealing with all of the trauma and everything from my childhood. Like I'm taking care of everything. Like I'm not sitting here waiting anymore for somebody else to realize that, you know, there's all this outstanding emotional debt or like whatever you want to call it, because no one's going to pay that but me. Like it's long forgotten, all of these costs that have been accumulating throughout my life. Yeah, I definitely don't want to be sitting here whinging about like what I didn't get. I still want to be grateful for all of the great things that I did receive throughout life. But like some of the most life-changing people in my life weren't mum and dad. Like it was like a random PE teacher or a librarian, you know, like they had the biggest lasting impact on me because they actually gave me the time of day and helped me with things that were crucial to my development. So as I'm doing this work as well, I'm realizing not only is it liberating and it feels great to take responsibility for everything, but every time I eliminate another one of these debts, like I'm calling them debts, like these accumulated costs of like a childhood that wasn't quite right, not only does it like the costs get lower, but it's like the emotional income increases, like my emotional mastery, my emotional capacity, my ability to form relationships. Like I'm getting healthier mentally the more that I deal with all of these issues, whether they were created or by me or I was responsible for them in any way or not. Because at the bottom of all of it, I was responsible for my reactions to everything. Even if like it's ridiculous to think back to like being a 1-year-old and how you reacted to what was taking place in your environment, but like I can, as an adult now, I can look at my reactions and I can change them. So I'm trying to find the silver lining here and not just make it like a darker video, but it's heavy. I've actually had a pretty heavy few days where one of the words that I used was I feel embarrassed to a friend, because I'm supposed to have my shit together and I'm like doing all of this like mental health work, supporting people. I'm doing work that's helping people access the cause of the effect of their traumas, and like people are coming to me and they're talking to me as if like I have some kind of answers that they don't have inside themselves, which, you know, fundamentally I don't believe that. I believe that we are the experts on ourselves, but people are looking up to me. And I had a moment last night where I was just like, I was looking at myself like I was just in a dark place where I was like, nothing's really changed. Like I was just like back there. I was just like, what the fuck am I even doing? Like I've just got all of this mess, all of this drama, all of this rage and resentment, hate, like fucking mess. Like I wanted to do all these like terrible things, like, and I just wanted everyone to fuck off. Like I was back in that place. And what I kind of realized is like, this whole time while I've been doing all this work on myself and trying to help people heal themselves, and I've been pouring myself into mental health, and like it's all distraction, and like it's still positive. Like I'm doing amazing things and I'm grateful for my opportunity to contribute, and it's beautiful to see people grow and thrive. But for me, so much of it is distraction. Like I'm going away and doing this work on myself, and then I'll come straight back and dive into work before I get a chance to process and integrate the changes that I've just made inside myself. And like what's happening is, after I do this like really powerful internal work, and then I come back and I ignore everything that's trying to surface through me in the weeks or months that follow, is I'm not seeing what I need to see to fully let go of these dimensions inside of myself. So I've kind of been very ignorant. And yeah, so I've had a really dark few days of just realizing I can't just like have a healing experience and that's that. Like stuff is like, it's not over just because I did a session and like looked at the cause of the effect. Like it's not over. Like I haven't integrated what I've learned through that experience. There's still stuff's gonna surface and I'm gonna have to look at it until I finally acknowledge my responsibility for what I've created, and then it will sort of dissipate, and then I can step forward into that new dimension that I'm creating. And that's like heavy because like I said, I've been doing all this work thinking that I'm like on track and stuff, and I felt embarrassed. Like I'm supposed to be this person that's doing the work and like solid. Like I'm somebody that you can count on and you can trust, and I'm trying to be an example of like how to show up and how to face your shit. And then I'm sitting there and I'm just like losing my mind because like all of the stuff that I've been ignoring is surfacing all at once. And that was just another lesson. Like you can't just, I can't avoid the work. Like I can't find shortcuts. I can't avoid responsibility. Not that I was trying to, but it's like, you know, the ego or whatever, like whatever's living inside of us that wants to avoid the change, it's good at it. It's good at keeping us the same. Staying the same is a very human thing. Like change is hard, but it doesn't have to be. Like I don't want to lock that in as a belief for the rest of my life, but I'm just acknowledging that it's not as easy as I was making it out to be. And maybe that's important for somebody to hear that as well, if you have been watching me and thinking that I got my shit together, because I fucking don't. Sometimes I fucking don't. Like, I'm just like everybody else, and like that's even sounds like ego to the max for that to even need to come out of my mouth as a statement. Like, I still get fucked up about things, and it's all of the things that I'm trying to deny that I get fucked up about that are staying fucked up. So I'm noticing the pattern. It's all the stuff that I'm avoiding that's staying the same. And as soon as I actually go through all this stuff and it's all surfacing and I'm like, fuck, this is intense, there's so much here, that's when I actually get that relief and I start to realize, like, okay, this is here for a reason. Let's acknowledge it. Let's move through this. And I can actually see different outcomes take place after that. Then like I can see that I've just been still in the same cycle that I believed that I changed, because like I've been ignoring the cycle every time it's come back for another opportunity to change it. I've been like suppressing it, distracting myself with work, just like go escape into some like fantastical adventure with another person, like some romantic adventure. I've done that a bunch of times, but then it's still there. Like that is the loop. Avoiding responsibility is the thing that I've been stuck in. The thing that I've been stuck in is like not looking at my shit when it comes back to the surface for me to actually deal with it for real. And now I'm acknowledging that. And even though I'm acknowledging it right now, and I've just had a few days that were kind of dark and I feel like I've moved through some stuff, I still don't know if it's over. Like this is going to be ongoing. Like I've got to be more aware and more mindful and make sure that I'm not escaping from myself in all these different ways, because I want to be better and I want to change my life for real. I don't want to be walking around just using all of my energy to create this image of somebody who's got their shit together. That's like of course something that I react to and I'm very triggered by when I see that in somebody else, because it's like one of my greatest fears to see that in myself. I don't want to be full of shit. I want to be real. I want to actually deal with my stuff so that I can actually have more energy and time to grow and develop and share beautiful experiences and do all these things. But I'm just trying to leapfrog all the time. I'm just trying to skip everything. And that's what I criticized Shawnee of the other day. Like I did that live in a discussion that was recorded. Like you can't skip everything. There it is again. You're talking to yourself. We're always talking to ourselves. You know, how often are you giving advice to somebody else that is like the most important thing that you need to hear right now, but because it's going out that way, it's not coming back in this way? Like that's the point of these journals. I'm supposed to be listening. Like I'm supposed to be hearing what's coming out so that I can learn from it. But then too often I get into that place where I'm just telling you, like the viewer, or telling somebody else all about it, and I'm not paying attention to what is being learned in the moment. So there we go. On the one hand, I'm like, yeah, let's get vulnerable. Let's party. Let's see how deeply we can share. And then on the other hand, I'm like, I am so ready to never record another journal again. I'd like to go back to doing something that's, you know, I can share something beautiful and meaningful with everybody that doesn't necessarily compromise my boundaries and make it feel like everybody can see inside my soul. But it's natural to have those kinds of feelings after a dark few days and then coming back to the journal again. If you get anything out of these videos, please pass them on to anybody else you know who may benefit. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you're thinking and feeling in the present moment. Any insights that emerged while you're watching me go through my stuff. Because I imagine it makes people go through their stuff a little bit if it's similar. Like when I'm probably triggering off all kinds of things all the time. Don't know if that's positive or negative. Hope it's good for you. I've been looking for other people that are doing this. Just recently, I'm like, okay, let's find some other people like me. And I can't find anyone, man. And then I was like, maybe people can't do this. Like, talk, like just allow a stream of consciousness to come through for like 20 minutes, half an hour. Like, I don't know. Or maybe it's like people are a lot smarter than I am and they aren't willing to wear their heart live on the internet all the time. I don't know. But yeah. That also made me think that maybe I shouldn't be doing this, because it's like a thing that people don't do. maybe it's because it's ridiculous to do this. Anyway, latest.